Buy shares now, or you call them stocks, whichever the name, buy them now. I'm very categorical on this. Why? Because this is the best time to go ahead and invest on shares, especially the 2024. You've been looking forward and asking yourself, what area can you invest? Now it is, you know. Okay, now I'm going to explain myself and justify myself why I'm saying you should buy shares now, because I consider this as the best time to go ahead and do exactly this. And by the way, I dare promise you at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you some of the best companies that you can buy shares for. And I'm going to draw the explanation to me why I justify you can buy shares, making this video from Kenya, from my own country, and I'm going to relate to the things that are going on here. And therefore, you can try to pick it up, some of the things, relate them to your country and see whether they are available or present there. Then if they are, then go ahead and make an action of buying shares out there. All right. And by the way, if it's your first time watching, my name is Joseph, and I usually post a video about investment each and every day. And this is what you can do so that you don't miss any of my videos in future. Down below there on your right, there is a small button written subscribe. Hit that button. And by the way, it does not cost you anything. And also like this video, because I'm sharing this information for free. I mean, it's the only love that you can give me. All right. Let's get into the business. Now, before buying any shares, there are some of the conditions, or the factors, should I call them, factors that you're supposed to consider, all right, before investing. And I know you'll be like, okay, why are you telling us to buy shares now? Okay, some of the factors that I'm gonna discuss today, and of course these factors are constricted to the factors of Kenya. All right, for example, right now we have somewhere called Nairobi Securities Exchange, however you guys call it. If you come from South Africa, there is Johannesburg Security Exchange. If you come from America, there is New York Stock Exchange. Actually, it's the biggest on earth. If you come from UK, you have their own yours. If you come from whatever the country, you usually have your security exchange somewhere. All right, ours in Kenya was the poorly performed globally, was the worst performing, not only in Kenya, but globally. All right. Why was it poorly performed? Because there were a reduction of number of transactions that are happening in this specific place. And I'm going to explain two reasons to why this actually happened. Right now, as you speak in Kenya, most of the shares are actually going down, or they are down out there, right? Now, the point is this: what contributed to this, and exactly what can we do so that at least we can gain out of this? All right. Now, factor number one, the reason as to why the NSE performed poorly, it is because we usually have what we call the international investors. And I'm going to use the simplest language for you to understand, okay? Now, there is these international investors who come from there. They invest in Kenya, some in terms of dollars, obviously most of them in terms of dollars and what have you. Now, what happened? They withdrew. Why? Because the US actually did what? They increased what we call the interest rates. So once they increased the interest rate, guess what happened? All right. So therefore, the developed market perceived to be far much better than the developing market. Therefore, they withdrew their investment in the Nairobi Securities Exchange in return of them investing in the promised increased rates in the America. Right? Now, what does it mean? That is actually called the flight quality. Now at that particular flight, it's like you fly away, you get, you just withdraw your money and go invest in that area where you're sort of promised a good return. So therefore, there was a tanking in terms of the shares. Remember one thing: Nairobi Securities Exchange is a market, is where most of the companies that are regarded as PLC usually come to get the securities. What are the securities? To get money to run their operations. Therefore, if these guys, by the way, in Kenya, they withdrew more than 158 million. This is close to like 24 billion Kenyan shillings. So actually, at that particular point, we can say the NSE went down at a very high rate. Another thing that contributed the NSE performing poorly, it is because the Kenyan shilling is actually losing against dollar. Right now, as you speak, is around 154. Depends on when you're watching this video. I'm actually making this video in December of 2023. Maybe you can watch this next year and be like, no, it's not. No, I'm saying regarding at this particular point. This came all the way from around from 115 Kenyan shillings per dollar. So you see there is that sharp increase, okay? And therefore it means it's a loss to those guys who have invested in these Kenyan shillings in this current market that we have in Kenya. So they opt to actually evade this loss, because it's basically like a loss. And it's like, they usually, like, that's why you find like most of the commodities has actually been increased in prices and all those kind of things, okay? Now, those two factors, and of course others, okay, underlying out there in terms of the investments actually contributed this NSE to perform poorly. For example, if you look at now, something like there was a company, I don't want to mention the name for now because I said I'm going to mention them later. For now, there was a company that was trading shares from 26, now operating at 13, 14. It's like there is all the way like 50% drop. At that particular point, there is something also called 52-week range. 52-week range, it means 52-week range, it means how has the price per share faring up. For example, if you were to take 52 weeks, what does it mean? Like a whole year, like the first week all the way to the 52-week. Now, if you were to compare and see how has the price per share been ranging, okay? How has it been ranging? Like, see, it has moved from all the way from 26 to 13, meaning it's going down. It also means this is an area where it has touched. It's like you doing pressure pitch and every time, and you can manage to get to do 50. So if one day somebody gets you doing 20, they still have some hopes if they did show us see you doing 50, because I mean it's a thing that you have ever done it before, so you're likely to go back to where you were previously. So that is one factor that people usually use when they're buying shares each every time out there. So those factors that I've actually explained to you out there in terms of this kind of investments, also it's a contribution to the growth. Another thing that actually has happened in our country, and you can check it out in your country right now as we speak, if you were to invest on treasury bonds and treasury bills in Kenya, you're getting a very good crazy return. For example, bills right now are ranging a minimum of 15.8%, okay, or 15.35%. Take it or leave it, give or take, okay. Now, so those are bills, and also bonds right now we have like an IFB that is ranging at 17.9%. So this is a quite an impressive rate. So what happens? So when bills and bonds becomes more competitive than investing your money on stocks, people tend to sort of withdraw the investment on stock and go the bills and the bonds way. All right. So because this is actually promising them a good return compared to the stocks and shares. So then what happens? The shares actually goes down, but it's not really a reflection that the companies are performing bad. No, it's just the demands of the shares and such kind of a thing. All right. And then I think this is a thing that happened in our country, Kenya. Maybe you can just reflect whether it's happening in your country. Something called, you see, government competing with its citizen in terms of acquiring the debt or loans from the banks. See, when government says, hey, you can invest on bonds, even these institutions like the banks and what have you, the commercial banks, obviously, they usually get these investments. Okay. Now, those are like 4 reasons why the shares have actually gone down there. All right. So now the point is this: there is something called buy low, sell high. You see, buy low, you buy low, and you do what? You sell high. So when you say buy low and sell high, in this particular point, we usually say you take advantage of the current situation or the current happening in our country. You buy when it's at the lowest. I cannot say like it's the lowest, but at least it's the lowest compared to where it was, and maybe compared to other times. Therefore, does it mean it's the best time you can actually get into the market? And let me tell you one secret whenever it comes to investment. Whenever people are not talking about it, and if they are, then they're talking it on a negative perspective, that is the best time to invest. And this is the secret about success I came to realize in life. Listen to what the majority are saying or doing and do opposite. Because most of the time, most of the people are actually wrong. And for example, right now people are saying, hey, convert your shillings to dollar, buy those dollars. Hey, get your dollar account and all those kind of things. I remember, and you can attest to my videos. You can go to my older videos. I made a video when dollar was around 118 Kenyan shillings. And I said, guys, whatever I'm seeing and whatever I'm anticipating, I'm actually contemplating, I'm actually sort of foreseeing that this dollar might actually go out high out there. Don't view it in terms of investment anyway, because it's not really an investment, but it's actually a way of, sort of securing your money. Go open a dollar account and keep your money there in terms of a dollar. People are so skeptical, like, hey, guess what? I don't know, China is coming on, they're coming with BRICS, what, and all those kind of things. Excuses. See, failures usually have a lot of excuses all around, okay? And right now, whenever they're saying things are working, they're like, hey, I think it's high time to buy. And let me tell you one secret. Whatever you get the majority are talking about the best time, it's not the best. And I'm not saying it will go up. I stand corrected. It can, but whenever you hear a lot of people are saying it's the best time to buy, it's going up. Like when it's so obvious to majority of the people, it's usually not the best time to do that. What they are saying. For example, right now, a lot of people are saying, "Hey, don't buy shares are going down. I don't know what's going on," and all those kind of things. For me, if you ask me, the way I do view things, obviously I would say whenever they are actually low and down below there is the best time to go grab it and invest it and move to the next level. You never know. Maybe the price may not go into, like instantly. maybe in some 3 months, 6, or maybe in a year, back to the prices or the terms of where they were. But at least there is a progressive increment as you move to the next level. Now, this is two ways on how you can view this. If you want to go there as somebody whom we say you are aiming at getting the capital gain, because whenever you buy low and sell high, you usually get something called capital gain, whatever. Okay, meaning when you can buy a share maybe at 20, whatever, it can be $20, 20 kwacha, whatever the country that you come in, it can be 20. And then there is an increment all the way maybe to 23 or 24, right? So that marginal difference between when you bought and when you're selling for, that is actually what we call the capital gain. Now, that is capital gain. Now, the point is this: if you're looking forward into getting the capital gain, well, these are people who usually invest like huge amount of money. And again, at this particular point, we usually say you can actually buy in different multiple times in a short period of time, because you are so interested in capital gain within a short period of time. You can buy whenever the price goes up. For example, I was looking at one of the companies in Kenya. I won't mention the name. It's actually one of the best performing company in Kenya, and I was saying like it could fluctuate all the way by 4 shillings, 6 shillings, sometimes even 8 shillings within days. And these are some of the advantages that you can actually grab and be able to earn money and the capital gain. But again, stand advised. This is an area which is very volatile, and you have to understand it far much better than just getting into it just because I said. Okay. Now, the other thing, if you're looking forward into, those guys who are anticipating these shares might go up and also be good, these companies might perform better. They have installed. By the way, NSE, Nairobi Securities Exchange, it's the 4th biggest in Africa. Okay, despite it performing that way, but does not mean that it's not functioning. It depends on the volume of the traded shares and all those kind of things. And again, another thing that can contribute also the shares go down is when the sellers are willing to actually sell their shares way below to at least attract the buyers, because in this case we have a lot of people who are selling their shares than we are buying out there. Now, the point is this: in this regard, you can go the capital gain way, or you can go what we call the dividends way, because those are the two ways how you can actually earn money when it comes to shares. So the dividends way is where they actually share with you some of the profit that they make, because you obviously gave them your money, and therefore the dividends way, this one actually view it from a long-term perspective. Long-term perspective in the sense that, hey, you get into it, don't look forward into buying shares today and sell them next week, next month, or even sometimes even a year. Okay, if you can view it from a sort of a long-term sort of investment, like 2, 3, 4 going ahead out there, therefore this company can actually bounce back and go to the point whereby people will be like, hey, guess what, the shares actually increased to a point whereby I think it's the best time to buy. They missed the point. See, actually the good thing is usually made when a lot of people are not seeing the opportunity. So if you ask me, is it the best time to buy? Yes, based on the factors that I've actually outlined here, the reason why they are going down and all those kind of things. And obviously it's good to be positive oriented as far as the investments are concerned. And I said you ought to have 2 qualities for you to be an investor. It's not for any average individual out there, a skeptical individual, a paranoid individual. It's not an area for you to go. I said, 1, you ought to have what we call a risky appetite deep inside of you. Number 2, you have to be crazy. When I say crazy, I don't mean like insanely crazy, like you're out of your sense or something. I mean like you're this kind of an individual who can just do something that it is out of ordinary, something that the majority of the people are not seeing, and therefore they can regard you as you are out of your senses. And that's how investors perform and function. Okay, you can see somebody importing a very funny kind of a thing, and you ask yourself, okay, fine, where is the market? I mean, how can, like for example, I was interacting with a certain guy who was importing these machines of compressing and making this all that animals lick and what have you. And I was like, what is this guy saying that I'm not seeing? He's investing some couple of millions into importing this machine. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, let me just observe. Right now, as we speak, he's running a very good, a company. He's supplying those. I really don't have the appropriate and right name to call that thing. There's this sort of a salt or something that the animals lick and they do love. I don't know what we call it. Okay, so the guy is doing good in that business, but it appears crazy anyway. Now the point is this. Now, the question is this. Now, what are the companies that you can actually buy? I did promise you at the beginning of this video that I'm going to share with you some of the companies that you can buy their shares and be able to do good and perform out there. Now, if you're coming from Kenya, obviously there are a variety of the companies. I would say the banks where some of the companies that are banks are good to invest. And when I say banks, obviously you can name them. Some of the biggest banks in Kenya, you can name them. Why? Because, hey, if government is promising this type of bonds, obviously these companies are investing there. Also, the real estate in Kenya also looks good. So if you can go the bank's way, it's an area where you can be able to invest. Others are like, beverage making companies in Kenya, like the alcohol, because Kenya is known for, a lot of drinking and all those kind of things. It's like sort of a merry-making. And it's not only confined in Kenya, but also globally, a lot of people done that. So it's an area that you can be able to do that. Even the area, the production, the companies that engage in technology production and all those kind of things. And by the way, there is a video that I dedicated overly in saying some of the best companies that you can be able to invest. There I mentioned names and all those kind of things, okay? So go pick it up, those areas or those industries. I prefer when I tell somebody an industry where he or she can pick a company rather than just giving you the mechanical solutions like invest in company A, B, C, D, or I love when I tell you, hey, what are the best industry that actually are gonna perform better? For example, if you go to the beauty industry, it's an area that is doing good. If you go to technology industry, if you go to an AI technologies, based on where we are right now, if you go to a company that engages in production of beverages and soft drinks and what have you, it's an area that you can think about. If you go to an area that is talking about cyber securities and all those, banking system, it's an area that you can be able to put your money, and agriculture as well. By the way, in Kenya, we have like over I think 63 companies listed under the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And if I was to just name a company that most of the people do not even know in Kenya, like the company just engages in production of flowers, others about vegetables and what have you. If I tell you the price per share, you'll be shocked. Some of these big companies that are well known by almost everyone, they are way below in terms of a price per share. But again, we cannot say price per share is the parameter, it's the ultimate parameter to define the success of a company. Also, that really shows the demand and what have you. Okay, now the point is this. Again, go there, identify those industries that have actually mentioned for you where investment can actually resonate well. And now, don't forget this as we move to the next level. Pick a thing that works for you. And remember one thing, do not overly use the information that I've given here and say, hey, Joseph said we should invest on shares. Go withdraw all your dear money, go buy shares. No, that's unwise. That's not a call for. I'm not advising you to do exactly that. Have what we call a diversified portfolio of investment. Let me just use a very simple words. Do not put all your money in one investment. Okay? Take some little money, put it on shares. It's a volatile area where you can invest. Again, you can put a substantive amount of money towards different investments. You can pick a money market fund. You can pick a bond or a bill. You can spice it up with a little bit with these shares. Okay? You can do so the conventional businesses. You can get into the real estate. Just have a diversified portfolio of investment. And I repeat, whatever I'm saying here, it is not overly like, hey, guess what, guys, switch off from whatever you are doing, pick it up. This one is the best that is performing out there. No, don't consume my information in that perspective. And again, it's a volatile area. Be very careful. That would be like sort of my disclaimer in this. Actually, it's not sort of, but my disclaimer on this. Make sure that at least pick that what works for you. There's some people who don't love shares about. There are people who just love businesses. They don't want this share thing. You just mention them, they're like, I don't want them. Okay, so if that doesn't work for you, pick that what works for you. And again, look at what you're looking for. There's some people who are here are looking for the cash flow. The others who are looking for the asset. The others are looking for the combination of the two. So pick that what works for you. And how can you identify what works for you? Obviously, you know it. Maybe you are employed somewhere, you have a good cash flow, and you're asking yourself, hey, I want to secure my future, I want to get the assets. This is a soft asset. It's an asset yet, but it's a soft asset. So we have the soft asset and we have the hard asset. Depends. Just have a combination of everything so that at least we can move to the next level. I bet you must have learned a lesson during the COVID 2020 thing, right? So anyway, guys, guess what? That marks the end of my video, but don't forget this. Perhaps if you're out there, you're confused, you do not know how to get started with shares, you can actually pick a booklet of mine. I do have a ready booklet that I've explained everything about shares, what you need to get started on, what are the necessities that you need. That booklet goes for only 280 Kenyan shillings. And how can you get it? My email is out there on the description of this specific video. Get that email, shoot me an email, tell me you want it. Upon payment, I send that copy to your email. Or WhatsApp, my number is also there. My WhatsApp number, you can give me. Or maybe if you don't want the booklet's way, if you want me to explain to you, I can explain to you step by step. You give me a call. We can do a Google Meet, a Zoom meeting, whatever the case is. I explain to you step by step. And obviously, that go for our charges. We can talk about it, but it's quite affordable for just a cup of coffee's price, okay? For now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one.